Shut up. Don't talk back to me when I'm the one feeding you. My husband shouting at me with a disgruntled face has become a daily occurrence. Before we were married, I was working. But I quit my job to become a homemaker in order to support him. Initially, he would express his appreciation, but over time, it became taken for granted. Don't just laze around, get on with the thorough cleaning of the whole house already. He probably hid his true self before we got married. He is always like that. A selfish man who only thinks about himself. Enduring his unreasonable words, I clean the study as he ordered. During the cleaning, I find something that seems out of place in this room. This is a wedding venue brochure, right? And there's even a filled-out divorce form. I couldn't comprehend why these items were here. For now, I take a deep breath. A filled-out divorce form means he's considering divorcing me, doesn't it? Moreover, this brochure. Does it mean he's already discussing such matters with someone else? As I slowly calm down while organizing my thoughts, anger towards my husband starts bubbling up. After all the daily condescension and being treated like a maid. To think he was making plans for his next life with another woman. The thought of how I was earnestly contemplating how to make things work with him until yesterday now seems ridiculous. What was my marriage all about? I've come to realize that enduring this life out of consideration for my husband is a waste of my life. And so, I come up with a plan using this chance. Using what I found in the studies drawer. I decide to start the biggest cleanup of my life, as my husband ordered. My name is Ashley. A 30-year-old homemaker. I married Nathan, who is 5 years older than me, 3 years ago, and we live together. Originally, I was a full-time employee at a major food company during my single years. But I quit my job to become a homemaker upon marrying Nathan, to support him. Nathan works for a small to medium-sized company. He was exceptionally talented. So he was promoted to a manager at an unusually young age and leads a busy life. I'm sorry for making you give up your job to be at home for me. I'll work hard at my job so that Ashley can live comfortably. Yes, it's okay. Don't worry about home and just do your best at work, Nathan. Initially, Nathan was considerate and grateful for my quitting my long-term job to start a family, showering me with words of appreciation. In return, I did my best to support my husband, preparing nutritious meals and keeping our home tidy. However, these peaceful days didn't last even a year. Gradually, Nathan began to take for granted that I was a homemaker. Started insulting me, hurling abusive words, and adopting a cold attitude. The dinner's the same old, isn't it? What do you even do all day at home? Are you taking me for granted? I'm sorry. No matter how much effort I put into dinner, Nathan would always find fault. And at times, he would throw the food away without eating it. If I tried to say anything back, he would get angry and shout at me. I became scared of Nathan shouting at me, eventually losing the ability to talk back. Can this be called a marriage? I repeatedly asked myself this question, but I never mustered the courage to take any action. The only solace was the time I spent with my in-laws. Although we live close by separately, our relationship is good. And they always show concern and offer support. Thank you for always doing your best for our son. Feel free to talk to us about anything. Hearing the kind words from my in-laws, I thought several times about discussing Nathan's behavior with them. But I was afraid it might spoil our relationship, so time just passed without me ever bringing it up. Now, 3 years into our marriage, Nathan's verbal abuse has only gotten worse. And my worries have deepened significantly. Hey, are you even cleaning the room properly? It's full of dust. How can I relax during my precious time off in such filth? Get it together. I'm sorry. I do clean every day, though. Quiet. I'm feeding you, so don't talk back. Don't laze around. get on with the thorough cleaning of the whole house. Whenever he was home on holidays, Nathan would always yell at me like this. No matter how spotless I made the house, he was never satisfied. Reluctantly, I would always hustle in front of him, meticulously cleaning and tidying the whole house. Even seeing me do this, Nathan would just have a disgruntled look on his face, seemingly always dissatisfied with me. You're really not cut out to be a homemaker if you can't do anything without being told. Just clean up my study or something, whatever. With a huff, he said that as if throwing the words away, and left the house without saying where he was going. As I tidied his study as instructed, I felt saddened, wondering if the kind Nathan would ever return. The current Nathan only spews verbal abuse, making any conversation impossible. Even when I tried to argue back occasionally, my words were never acknowledged, leaving me feeling close to breaking. Then, one day, I received a message from my best friend, Kim, inviting me out for lunch after a long time. Kim has been my best friend since high school, and I have consulted with her about everything from work to private matters. I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about Nathan at length. However, unexpectedly, Kim brought up the topic of my husband. You know, Ashley, actually, a few days ago, I saw Nathan at my workplace. Kim works at a wedding venue, and she witnessed Nathan coming in with a young woman a few days ago. I was shocked by Kim's words. But then I remembered seeing something like a brochure when I cleaned Nathan's study a few days ago. At that time, I thought it was just some flyer and didn't pay much attention to it. But now I recall it seemed to have the name of the wedding venue where Kim works. Seeing my shocked and pained expression, Kim gently held my hands and looked straight into my eyes. Ashley, if there's anything, I'm here to help you with anything, so please feel free to talk to me. Thank you, Kim. Yes, you're right. Suddenly, the words of my in-laws flashed through my mind. I have so many people supporting me. It's time to be brave. Feeling empowered by Kim's encouraging words, I returned home after lunch and immediately went into Nathan's study, pretending to organize while actually searching for the brochure. But the brochure, which should have been carelessly placed around a few days ago, was nowhere to be found. I needed to find it quickly before Nathan returned. In a panic, with almost a prayerful sentiment, I opened the drawers of his desk. There it was. Facing an unwelcome reality, my body stiffened. Yet, mustering strength, I took everything out of the drawer. The wedding venue brochure seen before, a casually folded piece of paper, and a small box. I didn't want to admit it, but I had to. As I thought this, tears naturally began to well up. Trembling, I opened the paper. It was a divorce form filled out with Nathan's name. The shock ran through my body as if I had been struck on the head. Tears fell uncontrollably, and I couldn't stop them. I cried for a while, clenching my teeth. Frustration and misery dominated my heart. Eventually, the tears stopped. I then picked up the box and opened it. I stared intently at the pair of engagement rings inside. Flipping through the brochure, I find a wedding estimate tucked in around the middle. As I absent-mindedly gaze at the detailed wedding plan, I realize Nathan is serious about this. What were my 3 years for? A sense of emptiness slowly wells up within me. Despite quitting the job I loved so much and enduring Nathan's verbal abuse while trying my best at household chores, the thought that Nathan would trample over my feelings and marry his lover is unforgivable. I will definitely get my revenge. A kind of anger I've never felt before rises within me. It's time to take action immediately. I promptly call Kim to ask for a favor, which she happily agrees to. Next, I fill out my name in the wife's section of the divorce form. Then, I quickly prepare my belongings and leave the house, heading straight to the municipal office to submit the divorce form. Just at the right moment, I receive a call from Kim. Can you come to my workplace now? I'll be there soon, wait for me. My ex-husband and his lover must be looking forward to their wedding. I need to act quickly. Submitting the divorce form somehow lightens my heart. Why did I endure all this until now? I feel a bit foolish for the person I was just yesterday. Unable to suppress my buoyant mood, I head to the wedding venue where Kim is waiting, with a smirk on my face. There, the person in charge of my ex-husband's wedding and Kim are waiting. So I hand them the estimate I brought. Please proceed with the wedding as per the schedule. Certainly. Although the person in charge looks puzzled, I'm sure Kim will handle it well. Confident in this, I head straight home to my parents. My parents are very surprised to see me return home suddenly. But they understand everything once I explain the situation in detail. Stay here as long as you need to calm down, Ashley. What on earth was Nathan thinking? I can't forgive him. My parents are very angry with Nathan, which makes me cry a little again. Their words make me feel like my 3 years of hard work have been slightly rewarded. That night, I also call my in-laws to report my divorce from Nathan. I'm truly sorry for suddenly bringing this up after you both have been so kind to me all this time. I say this with a choked voice. And I can tell through the phone that my in-laws are feeling down as well. They apologize with heavy hearts. We should have realized sooner, we are so sorry. We warned Nathan so many times. We are truly sorry for this outcome. According to my father-in-law, Nathan had been quite insolent and behaved badly even in front of them. He tried reprimanding and scolding him numerous times, but Nathan never listened. I never imagined he would behave like this in front of Ashley, too. I'm truly ashamed. My in-laws apologized so many times that I ended up feeling sorry for them. Feeling uncomfortable, I ended the call with my in-laws, and right after, Nathan called me. But I ignored the call. I know what Nathan would want. He's probably not calling because he's worried about me not being home, but because his dinner wasn't prepared. Thinking back, Nathan was always all about himself, which made me feel bad. I was really tired, so I fell asleep right away. The next morning, I'm startled by noise at the entrance and rush out of my room to find Nathan arguing with my mother right at the doorstep. Nathan, what are you doing to Mom? I stepped in between my mother and Nathan and yelled at him loudly. In response, he glared at me, ready to lash out in anger. Shut up, Ashley. What the hell do you think you're doing? Leaving without taking care of your husband, even though you're just a homemaker. Don't joke too much. The one joking here is you, Nathan. We are not husband and wife anymore. I stared straight into the raging face of Nathan and told him firmly in the coldest voice I could muster. Then, I thrust the bank book in Nathan's face. Huh? What do you mean? Nathan snatched the bank book from my hand with incredible force. Watching his face turn pale, I smirked inwardly. What's this about? You used our joint savings without permission, didn't you? What did you spend it on? Explain. This is, well. Nathan became flustered and hung his head in shame. The bank book I shoved in Nathan's face should have contained nearly $30,000. But now it's almost zero. No matter how he tried to excuse himself, there was no escape from this situation. And Nathan's face grew paler with sweat trickling down his pathetic face. I said in an even colder voice, enjoying his dismay. Bought your mistress an expensive engagement ring, didn't you? But did you know? Saying that, I threw a small box at Nathan. He weakly reached out for the box that bounced off the floor and picked it up slowly. I taunted him in a somewhat mocking tone. Your mistress, was it Hannah? She must have been really desperate for money, huh? Despite the ring you gave her, it seems she sold it. When I found the engagement ring in Nathan's study, I inadvertently checked its details closely. The rings, which appeared to be a pair at first glance, felt oddly mismatched upon closer inspection. So, I went to a pawn shop nearby to have the rings appraised. It turned out that only the woman's ring was a cheap, commercially available product. Looking down on the now crumbled Nathan, I spoke in a low voice. Thanks for preparing the divorce papers. I've already submitted them, so you can rest easy. And as for evidence of what you have done to me, I have plenty more. So brace yourself for the compensation claim. Nathan seemed deeply shaken by my words. A stark contrast to his demeanor when he barged into my parents' home. He slumped and exited the doorway. I muttered to his pitiful retreating figure, "This is just the beginning," and smiled softly. About a month later, I received a call from Nathan on my smartphone. Apparently, my second trap had been triggered. Feeling a bit excited, I answered Nathan's call. "Hey, Ashley. Explain this to me. You know something, don't you? Come to the wedding venue right now." "Understood." I replied with just one word and hung up on Nathan immediately. While feeling satisfied, my phone rang again, this time it was Kim. "Hello, Ashley, everything is going as planned over here. Thanks for your help. I'm on my way too." After making a few calls, I headed to the wedding venue. Upon arrival, I found the scene in chaos, with the mistress in a bridal gown wailing and Nathan in casual clothes, yelling at the venue staff. I confirmed that my plan had worked perfectly and chuckled to myself. Nathan wasn't supposed to know about the wedding until the day of the ceremony. After all, he never intended to marry his mistress. Despite all the detailed planning, Nathan didn't really care about his mistress. He always only thinks about himself. He probably lied to his mistress, saying he'd make reservations later. Which is why he brought the brochure home and left it carelessly. Such selfish behavior. But that's exactly why I was able to find and submit it. Thanks to that, I could prepare this wonderful revenge. Probably, Kim or the person in charge contacted the mistress. She, without verifying deeply, must have assumed Nathan had made the reservations and eagerly prepared for the wedding alone. But then, on the actual day of the ceremony, not a single person from Nathan's side, including his parents or relatives, showed up. Not even Nathan himself. This probably aroused suspicion in the mistress, leading her to call Nathan, which resulted in this chaos. The mistress's side of the attendees was whispering and murmuring among themselves, probably noticing something was amiss. Eventually, some of them surrounded the mistress and Nathan, voicing their complaints loudly. I stepped into the circle to explain the situation. "Hello everyone, I am Ashley, Nathan's ex-wife." Emphasizing the word ex, I greeted them, causing everyone to gasp and turn their attention to me. Nathan glared at me furiously. "Ashley, you submitted that estimate behind my back, didn't you? So you're angry and called me here over that? You've caused a huge mess with your unnecessary meddling." Nathan. Their shouts of anger overlapped with Nathan yelling at me. Yes, I was the one who called Nathan's parents here. They were dressed in formal attire, looking sternly at Nathan. Seeing the drastic change in his usually gentle parents, I was taken aback. Glancing at Nathan, I saw him collapsing in defeat, probably never having been scolded like this by his parents before. Nathan was trembling as he looked up at his parents. His father, red-faced with anger, grabbed Nathan by the collar and made him stand. "I will not forgive you for today. You must take responsibility for your actions. Now, apologize and explain yourself to everyone here." His mother, too, was glaring at Nathan, demanding action. Watching this, I couldn't help but let out a faint smirk. The mistress was just staring blankly at the scene. I then handed Nathan an envelope while explaining to the mistress as if to show her. "Here, this is the investigation result of Hannah's conduct. Turns out, she indeed has a significant amount of debt. Hearing this, a few women behind Hannah started whispering to each other. Didn't Hannah say she found a convenient wallet? She boasted about going to a nightclub in the afternoon recently. I pushed the envelope to Nathan and turned around. Now, Hannah's parents seemed to be saying something to her. Ignoring the cries that followed, I started walking away. Nathan, go through with the wedding properly with that young lady. After all, you betrayed Ashley, who devoted so much to you, for another woman. As a man, see this through to the end. Hearing his stern voice, I turned around one last time. Nathan was being dragged into the venue by his parents. Watching him go, I felt incredibly liberated. Later, I filed for damages against Nathan through a lawyer recommended by my in-laws. I heard Nathan ended up working day and night to pay for the compensation, wedding expenses, and Hannah's debts. Hannah, right after the wedding, cheated with another man, saddled Nathan with all her debts, and disappeared. Moreover, Nathan got disowned by his parents. In the end, Nathan was left with nothing but a huge debt. Hearing such rumors, I felt nothing. I just didn't want anything to do with Nathan ever again. I stayed with my parents for a while, then started working again at a restaurant, aiming for a new beginning. The manager from the restaurant where I worked before my marriage reached out, having heard about my divorce. They said they needed staff and invited me back. I gratefully accepted the offer. Once settled, I planned to start living on my own. Sharing this with Kim, she was thrilled for me. Blessed with friends and family, I realized how fortunate I was. Now, I live a calm and genuinely happy life, smiling from the heart.